Today we are going to talk about the Independence at Home Act of 2019. So, some quick identifying information. The Independence at Home Act of 2019, also known as S-1202, hopes to amend Title 18 of the Social Security Act to provide permanent home health primary care services under Medicare. So Medicare will cover these services for those with progressive illness. The current sponsor of this bill is Senator Edward Markey, and the co-sponsor is Robert Portman. It's also important to note that Edward Markey is Democratic and Robert Portman is Republican. This is a federal bill, and if enacted, it would be a new law regarding Medicare, increasing the coverage of these home health services. So the goals of this? Well, obviously this bill hopes to amend Title 18 of the Social Security Act to provide permanent home primary care medical practice to increase independence of individuals at home. Hopefully by doing so, this bill hopes to do is reduce preventable hospitalizations, prevent readmissions, and reduce costs of items and services to increase patient satisfaction. So, quick history. Well, Senator Edward Markey has created earlier versions of this bill, which include H.R. 7114 that was created in 2008. This bill, its intention was to amend Title 18 of the Social Security Act and provide high-cost medical beneficiaries with chronic conditions home services. Then he introduced H.R. 2560 in 2009 to do the same thing. In 2016, he introduced S-3130 to provide complete independence at home for the same individuals under Medicare. This bill was made it into the Senate and died before going to the whole chamber in the Committee on Finance, as well as S-4064. All of which have died in the Committee of Finance, which is where S-1202 is currently. So, interested actors and players. It's important to note that there are formal actors and informal actors. So, the formal actors include the Senator Edward Markey, which is the sponsor, and co-sponsor Robert Portman. Some other interested formal actors may be the FTC, the DOJ, and the DOE. Informal actors include that should be interested in this bill, or maybe, AOTA, occupational therapists, caregivers, individuals with progressive illness, as well as other care professionals, healthcare professionals. Occupational therapy is not included in this bill currently, but it is important to include them, and I will mention why a little later. So, next we are going to go to policy analysis. So, the theory used to analyze this policy was incrementalism, which is the making of policies through a pluralistic process of partisan mutual agreement in which participants focus on proposals that differ incrementally from the status quo. Now, using this model, there are three major obstacles to implementation. First, it comes with the limitations on time and information. Because of this, officials often make policies that differ only slightly from others. Also, second, it takes time for drastic changes to occur as it incrementally changes, so it only changes a little bit. And lastly, it can be overwhelmed when many issues arise in the policy. So if you have to make a quick decision and you're using incrementalism, it's challenging because you only differ slightly from the policy that is the problem. Also with this bill, it's important to look at factors and forces acting upon it. So economically speaking, economic forces are positive. There was an Independence at Home demonstration performed through the Committee on Finance that found, on average, Medicare and Medicaid saved $1,431 per beneficiary using these home health services. Politically speaking, it could be assumed that both the Democratic and Republican parties would agree on this bill due to it not only saving money, but also helping those with chronic conditions remain at home. However, there may, socially speaking, be a stigma with this bill, as Elizabeth Warren is currently campaigning for Medicare for all. And the main argument with that is who's going to pay for it? Is it actually going to save money? Who's going to pay for it? So there may be a stigma with this bill, and people may not want to support it because they feel as though it may raise taxes, even though the fact is it saves money because it reduces hospitalizations and unnecessary diagnoses. Also, there's another barrier that this has never been done before. So who's to say that it will work? That's one of the main arguments with this bill as well. So how do the sponsor and co-sponsor intend on overcoming these obstacles? Well, first, there was a trial completed by the Senate Committee on Finance who found that Medicare and Medicaid, again, saved $1,431 per beneficiary. According to Robert Portman's office, the barriers, they do have barriers and lack of support through Congress. So Robert Portman, the co-sponsor, intends on getting more support by contacting congressmen and getting them to really take a look at this bill, as it is important. It does save money, and it does help. So I wanted to show you really quick what I'm talking about. This is the Independence at Home demonstration 3-year result. So we're going to skip to the important part due to lack of time. Medicare and Medicaid services, let's see, saved approximately 4.7%, equating to $16.3 million on average of $1,431 per beneficiary of their applicable beneficiaries, so those with chronic medical conditions, which is really important to note. This is the facts. This saves money, and it works. Here we go, and we'll pull this back up. So occupational therapy is not included in this bill, so it's important to mention the impact on occupational therapy. So this bill, if including occupational therapy, which it should, it would be very beneficial to those with chronic conditions, as occupational therapy could help them become more independent in their home safely. So it would impact home health occupational therapists, obviously. This is the setting that this bill is working on. It would provide more patients to these therapists, and it would increase independence of patients in their home. As being an occupational therapist, home modification is much easier if you're in the patient's natural environment, being in their home, working with their own tub, their own kitchen, and modifying that to increase independence for these individuals. It would also allow therapists to become self-employed, to go to a patient's home on their own and bill for the services that they provide through Medicare themselves, therefore cutting out the middleman working for a facility or a home health agency, which is very beneficial for the profession due to the new PDPM payment system that is causing major facilities to lay off therapists. So this bill, if introducing occupational therapists, would be very beneficial not only to the profession, creating more jobs, expanding the profession, but also to the patients with chronic illness, as occupational therapy can help them. And then here are my references. Thank you.